Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for your patience. Right, this is very close to me. There we are. So thanks for joining us in person and for those folks online today for the fourth and final talk in our textile series. We would love your feedback about our series and this talk, so please take a couple of minutes at the end of Dr. Hoke's presentation to fill out our online Google survey via the QR code on the last slide. It's enormously helpful for us to know that this content is useful and that you're interested in it, and also to get further funding for more events like this, so please fill that out. So these sessions are presented by our Fibre platform and Kite Creates. My name is Helen Weston, and I'm part of the Kite Creates and the Fibre team. If this is your first event with us, thanks for finding us and joining us on a wintry, snowy morning again. If you haven't already, help yourselves to tea, coffee, and snacks at the back there, and stay with us for the networking at the end of the talk. For those that are new, a little bit about Fibre. So Fibre is an academic research platform in the field of textile-based wearable technologies and adaptive fashion. And it's part of the Kite Research Institute here. Its mission is to make care accessible to people through technology by designing and integrating smart textiles across the healthcare system. So I'm delighted to introduce our speaker who will be taking us through our topic today, which is textile testing. Dr. Saiful Hoke is a textile engineer and materials researcher whose work bridges fibre and polymer science, textile manufacturing, sustainability, and smart technologies. His research focuses on material performance, degradation, and the development of textile-based sensors and actuators for healthcare and rehabilitation. Currently, Dr. Hoke is a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Toronto's Institute of Biomedical Engineering and here at Kite. In addition to his research, Dr. Hoke serves as Vice President of the Institute of Textile Science, ITS, Canada, where he supports knowledge exchange and innovation within the textile community. So welcome, Saiful.
Thank you so much, Helen. Thank you everyone for being here. Again, as Helen was saying, it's a snow day, and I really appreciate you took the time to come here. And I hope that the next 50 minutes would be an interesting session for all of you. I would also like to thank Kite Create, Fibre, for giving me this opportunity to talk about textile, for the topic for which I'm very passionate about. And we want to start this session by acknowledging the land on which Kite, Toronto Rehabilitation Institute, University Health Network operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, the Mississaugas of Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. As always, I start by a potential outcome of this session. I hope by the end of this session, you'll be able to understand some basic concept about textile testing. You will learn some basic testing requirements for specific textile products, for instance, sustainable textiles, and also will know about some performance specification of different types of products. As always, I included a QR code for you to go through it. I include some materials in that folder. I'm wondering if any of you can check if you can go to the folder or not. So you will have access to download all the material until tomorrow. Thank you so much. Let's start the session with the questions. I'm really interested to know, when you buy a piece of clothing, what do you trust most to judge its quality? It can be a very high-end winter jacket which protect you from the cold. It can be regular clothing like t-shirt. I would like to invite all of you to scan the QR code to join the quiz and answer. You can go menti.com and join by using the code 37634627. I'll give a minute. I'll give 30 seconds to view the response. Unfortunately, I realized that I didn't link the live session with my PPT, but I'm looking at the response here in my mobile. So far, 25% people answered for the brand value. 67% people answered how it feels in their hand, and 17% answered review recommendation. Okay, I'll move forward, and the answer is quite similar. So I can move forward, and all are valid answers. All are valid instincts, because even when I go to market, I look for recommendation. I personally choose to do clothing shopping in person so that I can see the product and feel the hand feel, and also the brand value as well. If it is a reputed brand, usually the product comes good. But from the technical point of view, all of these options are really backed by textile testing. If I talk about hand feeling, in the industry they do testing of abrasion resistance, they do hand feeling through cow butter systems. If I talk about brand value, that has been backed by years after years good performance, and it comes through textile testing verification as well. From the consumer perspective, we usually choose a product. If I go through the literature and theoretical concept, we usually choose a product based on 5 criteria. The first, the initial appearance, if we like the product or not. That's very individualized and subjective, and there is not that much related with the textile testing. For instance, in the last session, we were talking about coloration, and we talked about how color preference has been changed throughout the decades. The second criteria people assess a product is based on the hand feel. Usually if it is soft, people like it compared to the harsh product. That's why like cotton or viscose fiber are more popular compared to bast fiber like jute. These are very harsh. People also judge based on the price tag. If it is really a good product based on the price they offered. They also judge based on the maintenance. I want to stress on the maintenance because I know there are a lot of people here in the room also working with smart textiles. And one of the challenges of smart textiles is the maintenance of that smart textile. Sometimes people don't prefer something to detach before giving it to a washing machine. It's too much maintenance, right? Some products need to be dry cleaned. So while we go for shopping, we consider this four criteria. The fifth criteria is serviceability. And this is the criteria which really backed up by textile testing. For instance, how long the product will perform over time, right? Sometimes additional safety features comes. For instance, if we go for winter shopping, I spent last 5-6 years in Alberta, and I know like when I want to go for winter jacket, I used to see what temperature, up to which minus temperature it can protect myself. So these are all the things industry is helping us through the systematic textile testing. that remove the casing, like if it is really good or not. And especially for protective clothing, this additional textile data like features are sometimes included in the label. As I said, in the winter clothing, sometimes you see that it mentioned that it can insulate you up to -20 or -30. For the firefighters clothing, you will be able to see this type of indication. This is not that much popular in the consumer clothing, although. Apart from the testing, we also do analysis, which is like kind of back engineering. If we look into this cloth, there is a hole in the pocket. Sometimes we get product returned in the manufacturing facility with similar kind of problem. Then we do the back engineering to figure out what is the problem happening here. For instance, is it a broken stitch because the hole is very close to the stitch? Or is it an actual hole? Seems like is it an actual hole. So if it is an actual hole, if the fabric got broken or it is a couple of yarns just got broken, if the fabric is too thin or too weak, if the fabric count is too low, it means the count of the yarn, and if the fabric has very low abrasion resistance, or it has low abrasion resistance, maybe someone kept their keychain here. So this all the options we verify through textile testing as well. However, as we are talking about the textile testing, this testing can be categorized in different categories. First is performance-based textile testing, and this is one of my favorite videos. So always when I talk about textile testing, I try to include this one. So this is flash fire testing facility at University of Alberta, where a mannequin with a lot of sensor in it, or this is the firefighter's protective clothing, and it goes through a flash fire test. The temperature here is it goes above 1000 degrees centigrade temperature. And after 3 to 4 second flash fire, with the sensors in the mannequin, we analyze what are the different types of burn injury. Is it first degree, second degree, in which location of the body. If the cloth is protective enough, we don't see burn injury. We should not see any burn injury. So this is one category of test, which is like performance-based. We want to see how the fabric performs. For instance, for again, example of the winter clothing, we want to see how insulate it is, how good it is in making me insulate. So these are performance-based textile testing. But this goes for fabric which has additional safety feature. But for a regular clothing, like a shirt or a t-shirt, what are the characteristics usually we desire in a fabric? For instance, if someone asks me, I will say I want to wash it without any hassle. So I want its washing performance. I want the fabric to look similar after using for 1 or 2 years as well. So I don't want to have any color fading. Also, if you look at in maximum bed sheet, in most of the cases, the bed sheet comes with wrinkle resistance, right? In a shirt, I also want that because I don't want to do the ironing every day. Also, we want to wear something which is breathable so that I don't do a lot of sweating, the perspiration can go out, right? It makes comfortable. These are all the tests which is on the performance-based textile testing. The other category is property-based. Property-based testing is really to know about the product. For instance, what type of fiber are here? What is the fabric structure? We talked about fabric in our second session. If it is oven, what kind of oven derivatives it is. To know more about the fundamental of the material is like property-based testing. And for instance, the thickness of the material, the weight of the material. And we use different kind of tests. For instance, for fiber analysis, we used sophisticated and optical microscopy, both. However, talking about all the tests, if everyone does it differently, then it's difficult to compare the performance between different tests. That's why the testing standard comes into action. The standard definition is, it is a document established by consensus of subject matter experts and approved by recognized body that provide guidance on the design, the use or performance of materials, products, process, service, system, or persons. In terms of textiles, these standards can be in 3 different types. First is like full consensus standard, where it can be a test method, a specification, a guide, terminology of a specific product, or an industry standard. It could be consensus among professionals, or a company standard, just within that company and consensus about the employees. While we are talking about textile testing standard, we have different organization body who are developing this standard. For instance, International Organization for Standardization. They have a specific dedicated committee for textiles, which is TC38, and they have published more than 440 standards. ASTM is another one. If we think about regional level, ASTM has more than 300 published test method, and in terms of the protective clothing, they have another committee, which is F23, which publish standard regarding protective clothing and equipment. ATCC is another regional which published more than 120 test method. The reason I'm showing these numbers because there are a lot of test methods already available in the market, which researcher easily can follow and can verify their product. And this is how it looks like in the real situations. So if I just take an example of a product of a regular man and boys open dress shirt, this usually, if I am a producer or if I am a startup company, I usually will go with this type of specification before developing my product. For instance, if I am developing a product for a man's casual wear, the minimum strength of that product should be 111 Newton. And for all the tests which is desired for this type of product are listed here. And this is very helpful for anyone who is just starting a company or for the researcher as well to look at the specific specification of the product they are researching or they are developing or they are trying to do a business. And then based on this performance specification, try to source the material and do all the testing. Because as I showed in my previous slide, there are more than 600, 700 standards. We don't need to do all. We just go through the performance specification of a specific product and go. For instance, if I talk about a bed sheet, a polyester cotton blend bed sheet, ravel strip strength test comes around 500 Newton. If I talk about furniture clothing, like upholstery clothing, it can go up to 1400 Newton. If I talk about fire retardant treated cloth, or the one video I showed before regarding the performance test, the strength can go up to 500 Newton for the ravel strip test method. So it's really suggested that if someone is starting a business or research in a specific area, look at the performance specification of that product. But the biggest question in terms of textiles, why the standard matters. And while we talk about standards, we always start about conditioning of textiles. And I always want to show this specific graph while I talk about textile testing. It is very important to condition the textile product before testing because textile fibers are made from polymer are very sensitive to humidity and temperature. For instance, if you look at the graph here, some of the fibers lose their strength. The y-axis is the change of strength, and x-axis is the relative humidity in a room. You see some of the fibers lose their strength after increase of the relative humidity, and some of the two fibers like flax and cotton here showed increasing in strength after high relative humidity exposure. The standard for conditioning is like, in general, the textile should be conditioned in a room where the room humidity is 65 plus minus 2%, and the temperature is 20 degree plus minus 2 degrees centigrade. And now you can think about, like, if we do a textile testing during the summer in an unconditioning room, and then if I do a testing in winter in an unconditioning room, and if I am doing the testing of cotton fabric or cotton yarn or flax yarn, the strength value is going to be different. So that's why it's very important. I just wanted to mention this one because I saw a lot of articles in the area of smart textiles specifically report a lot of tests, but without mentioning if this has been conditioned or not. And this is a primary criteria while we are evaluating anything on textiles. This condition varies a little bit, very slightly. For instance, if you can see within the Canadian standard is like room temperature 20 degree, within American standard 21 degrees centigrade. But the relative humidity is quite similar, and we have a grace point of plus minus approximately 2. Before moving to some performance-specific testing, I would like to pause here, and if you have any question, I'd be very happy to answer in the meantime. We have a question here.
My question is, you talk about the textile testing. I'm wondering, for fabrics in the furnishings industry, right? I'm just wondering because I've never really heard about how they do the test that you just showed. But the only ones that I've heard about was, they do the rubbing test, which there are 2 standards, like one in North America, a different one in. Mm-hmm. So in your case, obviously you also do that type of test, right? Just to see what method do they use for textiles. I have 2 questions actually. The other question was, is it the same testing that you're doing if it's a blend, and how complicated is that?
Yeah. That's an excellent question. I'll answer from the last question, and then I'll come from the first in the first question. So for the blend, the similar test, because always you are comparing the similar product, right? If you are comparing a cotton polyester blend, you are comparing the similar product, and the specification is quite similar. If it is 100%, for instance, if I talk about the specific specification I showed here, which is casual wear, menswear, the breaking strength was 111 Newton. Doesn't matter if it is 100% cotton, doesn't matter if it is a blend or if it is different types of fabric structure. The minimum strength, recommended strength is 111 Newton. So these specifications are always recommended. This is not like mandatory. But when something is about safety, for instance, I was showing a video of fire, or something which related with the safety, like ballistic performance, then you have some mandatory regulation to maintain. But for casual wear, it's always recommended, but doesn't interfere with the plan. For the first question, yes, as you assumed, there are a lot of different tests as well. For instance, you mentioned about rubbing. If I talk about rubbing, also there are different types of rubbing tests as well, right? It can be in wet condition, it can be in dry condition as well. It can be a taper test, it can be an abrasion, it can be peeling, all are rubbing based. So it really depends on also what's the end use, right? So, but of course, this should be backed up with different types of testing as well, and usually we try to follow the specification of a particular product. Excellent question. Thanks so much.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, I'm wondering if you've been involved in any testing of fabrics for, let's say, wheelchair cushions or hospital beds, because the type of fabric, the type of weave can make a huge difference in safety and seating and positioning. And for instance, I need moisture wicking and heat distribution. Other people who may have neurogenic bladder or what have you may need some water resistance, but at the same time you don't want that against your skin if there's a leakage from your catheter, right? So I chose my cushions based partially on the covers that were available. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is very insightful comment. And personally, I didn't do any testing for wheelchair cushion, but I tested product which used in a car seat. And I know I tested product which use it car seat.
Car seats.
Yeah. And I know these things matter a lot, like how the fabric structure, and it really, what types of fiber you were using as well. I was showing in my first or second presentation about carbon fiber.
Yep.
And if it is, yeah. So it depends on like what types of fiber, what types of fabric structures, what type of finish, and you were absolutely right. So these things really matter. Yes?
Can I
Sure.
just share?
Oh, there is another question, so yes, please go ahead.
You go ahead.
Go ahead.
This gets a little bit more esoteric in terms of textiles and fabrics. I'm interested in the design and development of clothing and accoutrements for disabled people. And one recent phenomenon I came across, I've been looking into, are you familiar with the work of a Dr. Heidi Yellen? She has done work on fabrics in terms of measuring the frequency content of a fabric and makes a very clear distinction between natural fibers such as silk, cotton, wool, linen, and the artificial fibers, where the artificial category has essentially no known frequencies. Now, it has been found, I think, that a material like cotton does have healing properties. And for instance, cotton has frequency in the range of 100 to 150 hertz. Linen and wool get up around 5,000 hertz, and silk gets up to like 10,000 hertz. Now, these are all natural frequencies that have been measured by using a photon source aimed at that particular fabric and measuring the spectrum of electromagnetic radiations coming back. Now, the question basically is, is anybody doing work apart from Dr. Yellen in terms of possibly injecting or processing artificial fibers to try and enhance their frequency content in terms of being healthier for disabled or sick patients? For instance, I heard that if a patient is sleeping in a bed with linen fibers, the healing process gets better, and it actually, at the end of when it's healed, there's less scarring has occurred. So please, can you tell us any more in this general area of natural frequencies imparted to artificial fibers with a view to try to improve their characteristics for disabled or sick people?
Yeah, thank you so much, and all are very interesting information. Thanks for sharing. I really appreciate it. So as you have already noted, there is not so many researchers working in this area. I know someone at University of Alberta is working in this area. If you are interested, I can try to connect with them later, or with the professor who is doing that research if they want. But to the best of my knowledge, not so many people in Canada are working in this area. Yeah.
Hi, I just have something to share, actually, very quickly. I did healthcare design. To your question, actually, a lot of the upholstery companies, textile companies in the States, they've done a lot of research where there are fabrics out there that they only carry, and it's used for specific healthcare furnishings. And they go through tests like, if it's in North America, it's a Weizenbeck test. And in Europe, it's called the Martindale method. Right now, the unfortunate thing is it's always down to the maintenance, because a lot of the fabrics that they have, even though it will withstand, and some of them are coated, but they only last so long. But the important thing is what they've done in the last probably 10 years. They've been doing a lot of research on how to incorporate like silver, because silver is a naturally antibacterial, into the fabric. So if you're really going to buy anything, you should really go through the professionals, because you can request it. It's available. You just have to work with somebody who knows what fabric to to use.
I'll
Okay.
actually share. I'm really fortunate. Thank you. My wheelchair dealer is 49 Bespoke. Reg McKellen, who is one of the owners, is a former Paralympian, national wheelchair basketball champion, and he was the first person to bring rigid frame chairs like mine to Canada in the late 70s. I believe the date was 1980, actually. So they know what the heck they're talking about. And if anyone is interested in questions, call Reg. Like, he's the go-to person in Canada, up in Vaughan. So knows everything and knows everyone in the industry in North America and I believe parts of Europe as well. The major brands for wheelchair cushions, there's Roho. I use Verilight, which if you're really a tech geek, does anyone know Cascade Designs for outdoor gear? MSR, Camelback, the things there. They make Thermarest. Same parent company makes my cushion and my back. And same technology. So I figured it kept me safe at minus 38. It can keep me safe, hopefully, in Toronto.
Okay, thank you so much. These are all very insightful comments. I really appreciate, and hope the next of the session is more about the performance testing. I choose a few performance-based products, and we'll try to list some testing related to each type of product. As we are in a hospital setting, let's start with the medical textile testing. Just a brief definition about medical textile. These are products or constructions used for medical and biological applications and are used primarily for first aid, clinical, and hygiene purposes. As I showed in my previous slide, different types of tests, there are a lot of different types of tests. I just included a few. I thought in the medical setting, one of the important tests for any medical textiles, it could be gown, it could be bed sheet, the resistance to microbial penetration, both in dry and wet condition, as both is important. This is a simple test where the test fabric goes above the counter and they pour some contaminated talcum powder, and then with a metal, they plunge the fabric, and if there is any contamination, that goes to the agar plate, and the plate remains in incubation for 35 degrees centigrade for 24 hours, and the test happens, the vibration happens for 15 minutes. And after that, they count like the bacterial colony, number of bacterial colony, and there are some specific numbers so that it can pass if it can be useful for a critical area or a less critical area in a hospital setting. But if you are developing for instance, developing a medical gown, which is very common, the few tests is very mandatory. One is if the gown is going to be is reusable, if it is not a one-time one, the evaluation of the cleanliness, like after the microbial contamination and then the cleaning, how the cleanliness works, and we can follow a test method, European test method EN 1174. The another is resistance to liquid penetration. And the liquid can be varies depending on what type of liquid we want to test. Then the strength is very important. It can be both tensile and bursting strength. Another is water penetration, as people working in the medical setting deal with a lot of water or the fluid. And the linting of textile materials. If the textile has a lot of residual linters, it may go with the patient as well. So that's why that's one of the test consideration. If we move to our next product, which is e-textile performance testing, I wanted to show a graph, brief figure to categorize the performance testing for e-textiles. We can categorize in three categories: durability, safety, and the efficiency. In terms of the durability, we want to check the robustness of the whole system, whole fabric. The surface phenomena is always with the resistance and the electrical conductivity in the surface for that smart textiles, the thermal resistance, and the washability. I'll talk more about the washability because this is one of the common tests researchers are doing. And personally, as someone coming from a textile background, I see a lot of things that need to be addressed during that test. So I'll cover it a little bit later as well. In terms of the safety, as electronic textile means something electronic is integrated with the textile. So as electricity is coming, it's very important to ensure the safety by textile. So the electrical shock resistance, temperature overshoot, if they're using battery, if there is any battery hazard, and for the efficiency, how efficient is it in terms of the sensor, if the performance is good with the stimulus as well. For instance, if I consider this is one of the smart textile product, we just want, and it has some electrodes to sense your physiological signal, we need to consider about its durability exposed to perspiration, about the sweating. Then with the laundering, electrical resistance, how it changes after washing. Also, in most of the cases, this electronic textiles comes with a snap button or a connector. So how the snap button connection works over time. Also, some of the cases, if it is come with skin temperature monitoring, how it measures reliably what is the threshold, and stretchable, in terms of stretchable resistance center, how the hysteresis works. There are few more test methods to consider. Efficiency and the protection against short circuit for this smart textiles. Efficiency to control overheating. In the winter, we use a lot of heater jacket as well in some cases, but in the market, I didn't see that much data how safe it is against the overheating. Electrical resistance of conductive parts against ironing. If we want to do some steaming and ironing, if it is really safe or not, if we are compromising the smart textile or not. As I said, I wanted to include a little bit details about the laundering and washing. In most of the cases, if I look at the papers, different papers by different authors, one of the common tests authors usually report is the laundering. And based on the laundering, they mention that, okay, this textile is durable, you can use it up to 50 washing. But there are a lot of details which is missing, and it's really hard to compare. For instance, if you don't have a test method, if you are not familiar with the test method, and I included this slide considering that there are a few people who are interested with smart textiles, try to report the things which can work as a variable in your test. For instance, the water quality you used, if you have the information. The temperature of your washing machine, the agitation, and the load size. In terms of the load size, how much was your sample and how much was the different material you used? Is both the same material or not? Also, what type of detergent and bleach you used? What is the RPM of the machine? And in the rinse condition, how many cycles was the rinsing, the temperature? The drying procedure, if it is a air drying, just normal drying in the room temperature, or if you used a tumble dryer with a specific temperature. Have you done any ironing after your washing and drying or not? So these are the very important information in most of the cases is missing. So that's why I wanted to include a little bit here. And also talking about smart textile and e-textile performance. In the list, I presented few test methods which has not been developed yet. For instance, for the casual t-shirt, for the casual product, we have a lot of test method already developed, but in terms of smart textile, as it is, or e-textile, as it is a comparatively new field compared to regular textile, we don't have that many test methods already published or developed. Different organizations, ISO, STMA, TCC, different organizations are working on developing test method, but in mostly a lot of test method is still missing. That's why I also wanted to include this consideration while you are developing a product or marketing a product. If you consider this condition, because this test method, people are working right now, which has not been developed, but they have published the initial draft, shared the initial draft with the subject matter expert. That's why I wanted to include this test method here as well, because although these test methods are not here now, but they will be coming in near future. Before moving to our next section, is there any quick question? Sure.
Sorry.
I know.
I have two questions.
Sure.
Hi. Thank you for that. It was really interesting and inspiring. I have two questions, actually. First question was the medical gown that you showed. So obviously, bacteria is a problem, and also the washing temperature that they use in hospitals. When they did these sewing, is the thread, is that available in the same kind of antibacterial or the same kind of, like, you know, if you were going to be developing new textiles, right? You also looking into that, the specific thread that they can use so that, you know, it kind of has the same properties. So that's number one. Number two is in the laundry testing, obviously if somebody, just the ordinary people, even though the recommendation on the label in most clothing, they would say, they just talk about color, really, you know, light. I'm just wondering, though, when you do those testing, do you mix it with another, like what other kinds of fabric, like maybe a towel or something like that, that would simulate what people would do so that they get the same sort of washing and wear? Because, you know, when you do the washing, right, yeah, there's erosion as well. Just a question.
Thank you so much. So I'll answer the first question about antibacterial or antimicrobial yarn, if it is available or not. Yes, these yarns are available. We have some in our lab as well. We are currently working. Yeah, thread, yeah. So because we prepare our own prototype and we have different types of conductive antibacterial yarn as well. But also in the market, you will find different types. For instance, some will be just coating of polymers. Some will be a mix of metal and the antimicrobial. For instance, in most of the cases, they use silver coated because of the antimicrobial. But in the yarn or thread scale, these products are available in the market. But there is one challenge, because if you think about, and I think you know, because you think about the manufacturing process of the textile, it has a lot of friction. And then when you are doing a weaving with just polymeric coated or the antimicrobial finish, that needs to be very good finish to resist friction in the machine, for instance, weaving or during the knitting, but these products are available. And for the second question, for the laundering, that's an excellent question. If I follow a test method, that of course they have definite material, but if I do my regular laundering, like a test on my regular laundering machine, personally I will think about the end user. For instance, if I'm talking about just a normal, just a smart textile, the one I showed here, like a t-shirt, usually people will like to wash it with this other conventional textile material. So I will use that as a bust material, as a similar material, and I will report that in my paper or the documentation, like what types of material I used with the smart textiles I used. But if I go for a test method, that obviously in the test method, how much detergent you are going to use, what type of complementary textile you are using, it's already mentioned. But that's an excellent question. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, I'm running out of time. I didn't look at that. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay. So as I move to this is the second last section. So we have one more performance-based testing. One testing is ergonomical comfort. And ergonomical comfort, the basic principle is that the fabric should go with your body movement, not against your body movement, right? And there are different kinds of test method for doing that ergonomic testing. The best is the subjective test. You developed your product, and ask participants to do the test, do the wet trial. In a simulated situation, you are thinking of the product will be used with a similar protocol, and that gives you the best result of the ergonomic comfort. Apart from that, to make a product comfortable, like ergonomically comfortable, there are few requirements. One is the flexibility of the material. Usually we use flexible structure like knitted structure fabric, the flexible fibers like spandex fiber to make it comfortable and flexible. Sometimes we need to use high friction. Sometimes some product need to grip your skin depending on the end use. Then we use silicone dot so that it has a good grip in your body. Also, to make it lightweight and thin. In that case, we try to use high-performance fibers or materials which are very strong but very low in a specific weight. In terms of the thermophysiological comfort, there are a lot of tests, but the few basic tests is the thermal resistance or the thermal transmittance. Thermal resistance, if it can keep you warm, or the thermal transmittance, if your body heat can go from your body, as you can see in this infographic. The evaporative resistance, also how the evaporation resistance is against your textiles, and also the air permeability. In terms of the skin comfort, we try to do the absorbency test and the repellency. The static propensity, I wanted to include this one considering the environment of Canada because we have a very dry environment and we sometimes see that the cloth is clinging in our body. It especially happens with the hydrophobic fibers, the fibers which doesn't absorb that much moisture. For example, polyester. During the dry environment, you'll see the fabric is clinging in your body. So this is one of the tests we wanted to ensure for skin comfort and also the fabric hand. Kawabata system is one of the recognized fabric hand comfort testing as well. As we come to almost at the last performance-based testing, I wanted to cover a little bit about testing about sustainable textile. And being an advocate of sustainability and textile sustainability, I cannot finish any lecture without talking about sustainability. One of the big concerns in textile sustainability is the dyes we use, the coloration we use in our cloth. And particularly, azochromophore dyes, which is related with direct and acid-based dyes, has the azochromophore, and if it comes to a reductase enzyme, which can be found in our body perspiration, it breaks down the azochromophore. And as it breaks down the azochromophore, it derives some amines byproduct. And here is a list of 24 amines byproduct which has been found carcinogenic for your body. So visually, we see that the color is fading, but it's happening, the color is fading because the azo is breaking down. But with the dermal exposure, if the azo is breaking down with these amines, it can go to your skin and it's not good for your health. And if it goes to landfill or the water, it's not good for aquatic health. There are some test methods to test if your product has this banned amines or not. And since 2002, starting with German legislation, they banned any product which might have this type of amines. And the test method is ISO 14362. However, from a consumer perspective, it's really hard to judge all the test methods because the care label doesn't include any information about that. And in terms of the textile sustainability, it's a huge energy-intensive process, the manufacturing itself, this whole supply chain. And there are a lot of sustainability concern in every step, from manufacturing of the fiber to the finished product and packaging. All the steps has different types of sustainability concern. And that's the place where the third-party test method can help us. For example, third-party independent certification body, sorry, not test method, certification body can help us with giving some information. For instance, Okiotex, they have different test standard to ensure that if the textile, mostly with the chemicals, if the chemicals are harmful or not. If you, sometimes in the garments label, you'll be able to see this type of label saying that this certified. Also, we talk about a lot of organic fiber. If we think about organic fibers, and if the product has certain percentage of organic fiber, then they get this certification GOTS as well. So these are the things for a consumer label can help you a little bit to see if it is sustainable enough or not. So as we move to the conclusion, wrapping up with saying what we have covered today. First, the textile testing is important because it makes sure that all stakeholders, from researcher to research development, manufacturer, and the consumer, are talking in the same language. And this, to make sure that everyone is talking in the same language, different standard testing method development bodies, for example, ISO, ASTM, providing us with the framework and the performance specification. And as I was mentioning during an answer of a question, testing is really product specific. What matters for everyday textile is different from a medical or e-textiles or a sustainable textiles. And as the fabric is getting smarter, we are moving a lot into a smart textile, and I personally see a lot of potential of smart textile in coming years. The testing frameworks is still catching up, but all the standard organization is working tirelessly to develop test method for smart textiles, and a lot of new standard test method will be in the market very soon. With that, I would like to thank everyone for being here again. I have included a feedback survey here. I would really appreciate if you can take a time to submit the survey. It's anonymous whenever you have the time. But thank you so much for being here. It was a real honor for me to present my work and some basics about textiles throughout the 4th session. I would like to thank again Kite Create and Fiverr for giving me this opportunity, and all the wonderful people who came to our session. Thank you so much. And I guess you can take some questions.
Are there any questions? Oh, okay.
Thank you so much for that fascinating lecture. I'm designing fitness apparel right now, and the distinct thing about it is that it's going to have like my original art prints printed on it, and the printing method has been something that I've been exploring a lot from I've been trying to examine things from a sustainable lens, but as I'm sure you know, sustainability can be measured in a lot of different ways. And my approach was, I can use dye sublimation or digital printing because it's less water intensive and then therefore better for the environment. I can do made to order, less volume, less waste. But now I'm wondering about the chemicals in the dye, and especially because the prints are so colorful. I have a lot of questions about the impact on the skin with the chemicals that are being used to create the colors and the patterns. And I'm wondering what questions I should be asking my manufacturers about chemicals in dye. Like, you said, I saw azo colorants. Should I be asking, what about the azo colorants, or about the banned amines? Like, what should I ask them to, sorry, I'm a little overwhelmed about this concept because it might derail the whole concept of the line, but what should I ask them to about colorants and safety?
Yeah, thank you so much. That's an excellent question.
Okay.
And I really appreciate that you are sharing. So from a buyer perspective, I will see if so there are a list of chemicals which is called zero discharge hazardous chemical. I can send you the link if you share the email address to Helen. I can send you the link.
Okay.
You can try to check if it is there or not. These are the safe chemicals. You can check REACH, R-E-A-C-H, REACH website, because they have all the list of banned chemicals as well. And make sure that your consumer is not using of this product. Like if you ask if they have this amines or they have certification like GOTS or Ocutex, that can be another option as well. But to start, maybe you already searched or not, but I will check this chemical list and ask the consumer if the chemical you are using or the pigments you are using in your painting, if it is from zero discharge hazardous chemical list or it is from REACH list, this documentation would be helpful, I guess.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Just on that note, did you have anything in your resources that might help with that question?
Not here, but I can share this website if I have the email address. Yeah,
Okay.
but not here.
Just going to go to this person, then I'll come.
Hi, thank you very much for that. It's really interesting and inspiring again. I have a question regarding healthcare, actually. You know how in the hospitals they have to use cubicle curtains that are, the manufacturers always, they come up with like new designs, and it always has to be inherently flame retardant. How do I check? Because I can never find out exactly what kind of chemicals are in the fabric that they are marketing them as inherently flame retardant.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's an excellent question. So there is two concepts on fire protective clothing. One is inherently flame resistance, and another is fire retardant finish. So if someone is saying their product is inherently flame resistant, that means the fiber itself is flame resistant. It doesn't need to go through any finishing. For instance, aramid, PBI, PBO, pararamid, Technora, these are the fiber which is inherently flame resistant. You don't need to go through any finishing. And if they've claimed that it is fire retardant finished, then you need the proof of the test. Like after fire retardant finish, if it is sustained the vertical flame test. So here in Canada, you might know we do the vertical flame test for fire retardant finishing. So if it is inherently flame resistance, you'll be able to know just looking at the fiber blend they have.
So do they use chemicals that are maybe not sustainable? Because obviously it has to be not sustainable.
Yeah, like synthetic chemicals.
Can't get away with that, right?
Yeah.
They need it, right?
Yeah, but the hopeful part is a lot of researchers is working to make sustainable chemicals, and it takes time to come into the market. For instance, in most of the cases, this fabric, the fabric you are mentioning, comes with water repellent finish as well, right? And this water repellent finish sometimes comes with Teflon type finish, right? And this is not good. But the researchers are working in that area as well. There is not a lot of option in the market, but a lot of sustainable chemicals option is coming again. So
But it'll take a few years.
yeah, as well as. But thanks for the question.
Getting back to issues of natural versus artificial fibers, or living versus dead fibers, and also issues of sustainability. Are you aware of some natural textile products that could be made, particularly from, for instance, mushrooms and bamboo? I believe that I've heard that you can have leather-like materials made from mushroom fibers, but do you know of any other natural fiber sources, and who's making them, where is it possible to buy them, and so forth?
Yeah, thank you so much. This is a very insightful comment. So regarding the natural fiber, there are a lot of other options apart from, like, usually from the consumer perspective, we think about cotton when we talk about natural fiber. But there are all other options coming into the market. For instance, bamboo fiber is very popular. Even if you go to a shopping mall, you'll find a lot of product from bamboo fiber blend, not only 100% bamboo, like blend with cotton or other regenerated fiber. I personally worked with some innovative fiber I presented in the first session, like canola fiber. We're used to with the canola oil, right? I work with canola fiber. I work with jute fiber as well. But it depending on the end use. Regarding the mushroom, I didn't work with the mushroom fiber yet, but I saw some articles on that area. But bamboo fiber is very like widespread already. You will find product in the market. But thanks for the question.
Is possible to get your business card?
I don't have any business card. I can share my contact.
Hi, so I'm half Kiwi, New Zealander, and it's customary in New Zealand for babies to get a lambskin. And I know in the UK, Australia, and New Zealand, medical sheepskin is a thing, and it's pretty common. North America, we're scared of wool. Is there any work being done on medical sheepskin, its use? Because I swear, if you've got cramps, lay on a sheepskin. You know, it can make a world of difference. It's breathable. It's naturally fire retardant. It's warm in winter. It's cool in summer. It wicks, you know, and I'm a little biased because I'm a knitter. But yeah, is there anything being done about medical sheepskin?
Not yet. That's the shortest answer. I didn't do any work with sheepskin. I saw a few articles, promising articles, but I didn't do any work on my own, so I cannot comment on that. Thanks so much for the question. Sure.
Do we have any other questions? Saiful will be here for the next 20, 25 minutes for you to kind of ask informally if you want to do that. We still have time for some networking. Hopefully there's still some coffee left. So please ask him lots of questions during that as well. But if there's nothing else, we'll close this session. Okay, and thank you all for coming, and hoping that you'll...
That's okay. I snap wrap and talk all the time.
Hoping that you'll come for other events that are coming up. We have a particularly interesting adaptive fashion panel that's coming up next Friday. So if you've come to this event, you'll be registered, you'll get that email as well. So watch out for that, and it will be lovely to see you all there. Thank you again.
Thank you.